What is up, guys? So, today we got Zentangle Day 14, continuing our Zentangle journey here. And, I got some new patterns for us. Some interesting things. Some a little simple, some a little complicated. So, without further ado, let's get into this one. I'm pretty excited about these, sorry. Before we get started, I want to make sure that everyone's, on the same page in their journals. I want you to make sure that you're working large enough and not trying to make these too small. It becomes a little more difficult if you make them too tiny or too big. So what I have here is I have a little example I drew for a previous video. But right here in my journal, I went ahead and made a couple of dots. And these are kind of spaces for my card here. And what I have here is, my visual aid 4 dots. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of imagine that I'm laying a string down. And this is going to be kind of like the space for my card. It doesn't have to be perfect right now. I can change it a little bit as I move forward. But this is going to set up my card. Further, I want to go ahead and add in my central lines, my lines that are going to become the separations. And there is a lot of ways to do this. They can be disconnected, connected. We've learned a lot about, separations. You can have like an aura right here if you would like. But I just wanted to kind of hey guys, make these large enough. Make sure you giving yourself some room to work, and be creative with how you lay it out. All right. So the patterns I have for you today are interesting, to say the least. All right. The first one's called the Dyon or Dyon. All right, and I have some interesting feelings about this one. I really thought of it as one that could fit as kind of a standalone thing that might have its own aura, but it really could fit any area, be it square, circular. It doesn't really matter, but it's kind of op-arty. All right, so I'm going to use a circle just because it makes sense to me to do a circle. So the way this works is we're going to kind of split this into 8 sections, and we're going to use the curved line to do so. So this is a sphere. All right. And once I have those lines drawn, I'm going to go ahead and work over them and pin because they're not going to go anywhere. And be careful of your intersection. I might go over this with a marker here in a moment. All right. And the next step is pretty easy. We're going to create these outwardly going half circles. Kind of on this. And we're going to make sure they touch. So it creates these M's. But then they just keep going. If you're brave, you could do this straight up with marker. If you're comfortable with that, I think I'm gonna just do it though. The more I do Zentangles, the more comfortable I'm just getting with ink in general. Maybe that's the same for you. Maybe not. So I'm going to even hit the outside of this. I just thought of it. It's like an orange. That's what I think of. I think of it as an orange. like it's a little cutie. It has these like divots. This one was kind of a wide space when I did my... Oh no. And then last but not least, trying to make everything fit together. Alright, cool. Cool. So it's like this like flower bloom or like this orange. And the way you add value to this guy is you kind of just like go in a circle around. And you just kind of hit the edges here. Just kind of be consistent with it. If you can think of any ways to modify this too, could be interesting to do like V's instead of curved lines or something. I'm not sure. Yeah, so it almost has this kind of pinwheel shape. I'll darken this up a little bit for you guys so you can see it a little better. Make sure you shade outward around the curve. If that makes sense. All right. So you may need to, when you look at your card for your space here, you may need to make a special spot for this, or you may want to put it so that it kind of exists on an edge, or you may just find an area you like and make this fit. I'm seeing right here I have this like curve already. I could easily come in here and like do this there and then work the rest from there. Alright, but that's the Dyon. Pretty cool little pattern. Pretty excited about this one. Kind of more floral in nature. Okay, so if you need to take a minute, stop the video, go do that one, and come back. I'll be here waiting. Okay. All right. Now the second pattern. Whoo! It's a braid. It's like a braided chain or a cross chain, and it can be a little complicated. It took me a few tries to get this one, so I'll try to walk you through the steps. And it might be easier to explain this as a series of interior lines and then try to draw the exterior lines after you kind of get the interior lines drawn. So if you look here, I have this like almost like 9 shape, and this is going to be a good thing to kind of follow a line. It could fit on the outside, or you could like make multiple of them go in different directions to fill a space. But it's kind of an odd one. It actually has its own aura around it, pulling some stuff from previous Zentangles. Apologies. So what I like to do when I start drawing this pattern out is kind of like what I said. I kind of imagine where it's starting, and I'll do a line kind of like this. All right, and if I imagine these as kind of like thicker interior lines, it comes easier to like go back and find the outside edge. So this is kind of how I did it first. So I have this kind of half circle and then this kind of larger half circle, and then what I do is I repeat this same thing over. So I have this Y shape, right? So then I'm going to do it again. Gonna kind of make the same shape right here. It touches this one, right? And then where this, I wonder if I should zoom in here. Apologies. Right. Where this touches or crosses over, you have to imagine like it goes behind. All right, remember I said this is like a braid, right? But if you look here, I have this Y shape, right? And then I have the same shape. It's a little skewed, but it's here. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll keep alternating that pattern. So this line is coming down, so I'm going to start there. I'm going to pull it down this way. Where this purple crosses over, I'm going to pull that down and go this way. I might need to stretch that a little bit to make that fit. And I'll do the same thing here. This crosses over here. It's going to come down this way. This crosses over here. It's going to come down this way. And so on, and so on, and so on. It's a complicated one. Alright, but the end result is pretty wild. Alright, sometimes you gotta kind of like make it fit for you. You gotta like stretch it and move it a little bit. Alright, so be patient with that. If you need to rewind that and go watch it again, it's a pretty interesting one. I can try to do the lines as their own color if you'd like. So here is that first shape. Here is that second shape. Sorry, brain fart. So this one's going to come. Make the Y. Is it 3? I feel like. It's interesting. That's an odd. Give me a second. Yeah, I guess. Okay, yeah, that's right. Whoa, this is trippy. It's the first time I'm trying to do this, friends. This way. Now the purple one crosses over and down. Now the dark blue one crosses over and down. Yeah, so it's just like a braid. You have 3 strands. They make this kind of continuous loop. It can be complicated. But you know, we're getting into those complicated ones now, right? Okay. I did the colors just to kind of help you. Oh yeah, and then you know you can always like kind of follow this back as well. You can go like, oh, this one would go. It would go up here like this, so on and so forth. If you needed to work backwards, you know, you could do that as well. Now, once I have this drawn out, hopefully in pencil. What I can do is I can kind of come back with a pen, and you want to do like these outside lines. So just show you what this, I guess what this would look like. This is almost like a little humorous because of how complicated it is. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to like draw that. You're crazy. And then like I followed this little like step here, and I was like, oh, that's not too bad. But it's like a braid. It's just like a braid. Sorry guys, I think my marker's dying. Alright, there we go. Yeah, if you needed to do the colors, I guess you could. You know, because you could shade this in. That would be pretty cool, actually. But boy, oh. I recommend you practice this one. Okay. Now, what we're supposed to do from here is we're supposed to fill in the interior. You know, with this pattern, kind of like going in. What was this called? It had a weird name. Where we fill in the dark areas. Alright, and from there we're going to add an aura, which an aura is this exterior kind of area around it. And that gives it its own little space there. Alright, you can come in and you can shade in the braid. If you did it in pencil, you can leave the pencil. But this is a wild one, friends. Alright, so hopefully that makes sense. Again, you may need to practice. You may need to watch that again. I think this is definitely the better example. But I hope you play with this one. I think this is going to be a really good one to add to our kind of dictionary of symbols here. But yeah, I can't wait to see how you guys incorporate these into your sketches. So yeah, it's like changing, it's like changing. Okay, all right. You know, you may need to make a special space for this one as well. Got special spaces on this one, but thankfully we have one that we can use to fill space, and this is straight up weaving a basket. All right, so this is the Keeko, and yeah, this one's pretty wild. It's a set of 3 lines. It works a lot like the Nectin from like way back at day 2, except for we only use horizontals and verticals. Again, I recommend you do this in pencil first because it can be a little complicated. All right, so what I do first is I'm kind of gonna imagine the first string here. So I have like two strings side by side here. All right, then what they do is they go under something. Now to go under, that line has to be a little longer. But as part of the weave, this thing also has two strings. Okay. Now they're going to continue. So I'm pulling these lines down. All right. They're going to hit another area. It's a little longer than it is. Than the weave is. All right. And then down again. And you can draw these big, small. That's kind of up to you. All right. Now, what I like to do next is I like to cap these pieces off here. I know I did it the opposite way on my little demo here, but it kind of makes this next part a little easier. So these side pieces, we're going to treat them like we just did for these pieces. So this is an over. Now it's going to go under, which means there needs to be a little wider area right there. 1, 2, 3. I'll do the same thing here. A little wider. Try to line these up as best you can as well. Right. Now, because I'm using the pattern I've already kind of started here, I'm going to go and fill in the middle area. And what's going to happen is you're going to create this little square here in the center. And if you ever look at like woven things, there's always this weird little spot where, like, you know, 4 lines kind of meet up in an area. Right, and then I just kind of keep this pattern going. Again, recommend this in pencil, and then you can go back and pen. That's pretty wild, right? Pretty wild. It's weaving a basket. That's crazy, all right? Of course, go back over this in pen once you're comfortable, once you fill the space. And the way you add value to this is it works like the Knight's Bridge, where any area where it's going under, you get a little shadow, just a little shadow, like right there. And this helps kind of force this illusion of 3 dimensions. Like this is actually underneath this. Be careful not to smear it too much. That's what I just did there. But yeah. So hopefully that makes some sense. Two kind of challenging ones, one kind of easy one today. Can't wait to see what you guys do, and I'll catch you all next time. All right, be good.